Morning students. So today we shall continue with the same chapter, control statements in C++. So today we shall discuss about the while loop, do loop or do while loop, and some programs on while loop, and also discuss about the jumping statements. So in the previous video I discussed about the for loop, which is also one part of the looping construct. So in the looping construct or repetition statement, we have three loops actually, that is the for loop, while loop, and do while loop. So in previous video I explained about the for loop and also some programs on that, so be sure to watch that video and then also to type out the programs on the for loop, and then yeah, try to understand the for loop, because for loop is very important. So what is while loop? So while loops, a while loop is a pre-test loop. So it first tests a specified conditional expression, and as long as the conditional expression is evaluated to non-zero true, the block of while loop is repeated. So be it for loop or while loop or do while loop, okay, the condition is same. As long as the test condition is true, the block of the body of that loop will keep on repeating as long as the condition is true. Okay, so only thing is that the format is different, okay, and the way of execution is a bit different. So here in the while loop, okay, in the for loop you have noticed that three things are done at the same time, that is the initialization, test the condition, and reevaluation. So in the while loop you can see that, okay, here before the while test condition test expression actually begins, the initialization will be done, and then here in the this is the body of the while loop, the program statements are written. So under the program statements, the repetitions, for the repetitions of this program statement to continue, okay, so the increment or decrement thing or the re-evaluation will be done inside the body of the while loop. Okay, so the structuring of the while loop is different from the structure of the for loop. Clear? So now let's look at an example of while loop. Okay, so here a program define factorial of any number using while loop. So we have already seen some two or three factorial numbers. So by now you must be familiar with the concept of what is factorial, right? So you can see that we can do factorial in many ways. You can do factorial using the for loop, you can do factorial using the while loop, and you can also do factorial using the do while, like that, right? So it is also possible to do factorial using the if construct, that is explained in the later pages. So here you can see here, as usual, it always starts with the header file, that is the iostream.h, and then the main function. So within this parenthesis, within this opening and closing curly braces is the body of the main. So the compiler will only execute what is written inside this main function body, right? So here you are declaring the variable I. So by now I'm sure that you are familiar with all of these variables, that the variables that you need when you use to find the factorial of a number, right? So here you are declaring the variable I. So here I is the counter variable. Okay, so since you are using it in a loop, so you are using I, so it is the counter variable which is initialized to value 1. Why is it initialized to value 1? Because it is used in the formula, in the program logic. Okay, and the factorial of a number, it starts with, suppose like factorial of 5, it starts with 5 4 3 into 2 into 1, so it ends with 1, or you can say that it starts with 1, right? So before the while loop begins. So here here the declaration of the counter variable is done, but yesterday I explained to you that you can also initialize the variable in any part of the program just before you use it, right? So here I is the counter variable, I is actually used in the while test condition. So here you're assigning the value 1 to I. Why do you need to assign the value 1? Here also you can write down int I equals 1, but according to the while loop, okay, format, here you should do the initialization. So here I is equal to 1. Why I is equal to 1? Because it is used in the test condition. Otherwise, if it is just say while I is less than equal to n, okay, and you don't assign a value to the variable I, counter variable I, then the compiler will assign a garbage value of integer type because the data type is int. So here the variable n is declared as type float, so it will store decimal point values. So here n is the factorial number we want to find. So like example, factorial of 5, so 5 is n. Okay, if we want to find the factorial of suppose like 4, then 4 will be the value n, like that. So here fact is of type double, so double and float, they hold decimal point values. In this case of double, it can hold more decimal point numbers, that is after the decimal point. Okay, so if float can hold decimal point values up to 4 digits or 6 digits, okay, double can or say like 12 digits, okay, double can store up to suppose like 16 or 24, like that. Clear? So fact is assigned the value 1 as it is used in the formula. Okay, so it should be like 1 into 1, I is also 1, right? So after you assign the values, okay, initialize, so the cout statement will display this, enter the number or enter the factorial number that you want to uh, find. So using the C input stream from the keyboard, it will, the overload operator will direct it and store it in the variable n. So suppose like 5, then I is assigned the value 1, okay, it is initialized, so it ends with semicolon. Now here the while test condition, okay, the while test condition, the while loop will test this condition while 1 is less than equals to 5. That is true, so fact equals to fact into I, that is 1 into 1, I will get incremented by 1. So this is the counter variable. Through this counter variable, that is I equals to I plus 1, this, as long as this increment is take place and as long as this test condition holds true, okay, this fact equal to fact into I, it will keep on repeating, and this I plus plus also will keep on repeating. So you can see that the increment operator is used in the body of the while loop. Okay, so finally once this become false, okay, so if the when the value of I reaches suppose like 6, 6 is less than equals to 5, wrong, so it will come to the closing braces and it will execute the next statement, so it will display the value of fact. So here what is this within when it is displayed, the value is stored in here, right, fact, so the value is assigned to the variable fact. So here you are displaying the value which is stored, suppose like 120. Now this, as you can see here, this double is used within this parenthesis, so this is called as typecasting or type conversion, which we have already seen, right, under operators and expression. So which what it does is it temporarily converts the float fact to double fact, because you have declared the oh yes, by default it is double, right, by default it is double. Okay, so yes, there is a mistake in this. Okay, so by default it is double, so it will display in that format. Clear? So if suppose this fact, okay, was of type float, then in that case, okay, you need to use this you need to use this type casting. Okay, so what you can do is that if you want, okay, you can remove this. Okay, it will simply display the values. Okay, but in some text editors it might show some problems also. Yeah. So yeah, so next is do while loop. So do while loop is a post test or bottom test loop. It executes its body at least once without testing the condition, or even if the test condition is false. So you can see the format of the do while loop. See, do, okay, the keyword, and then this is the body of the do while. So as you can see that the body of the do while is written first before the test expression is done. So what happens is that it will execute the body of the do loop, okay, at least once, and if there is a formula to be executed, if there's a cout, okay, then it will display what is written inside the body or execute it at least once even if the while test expression turns out to be false. Okay, so the do while loop terminates when test condition is evaluated to 0. So it ends with a semicolon. In this case, the while test expression ends with a semicolon, okay, which signifies the end of this the loop. Okay, so that means if the test expression turns out to be false, okay, it will come to this semicolon and terminate the do while loop and then go on to the next statement. Okay, so it's just the reverse of the while loop. Only thing is that even if this test expression turns out to be false, the body of the do loop will be executed at least once. Okay, so now jumping statements. So jumping statements are used in C++ programs when we want to exit the program early or skip the loop. Okay, so we shall discuss the following jumping statements. The first one is exit. So C++ provides a way to leave the program early before its natural finish with the exit function. So this is a function. So to leave the program early, okay, before before the program completes sequentially. So that means abruptly you are exiting the program using this exit function. So whenever you are using this exit function, be sure to include the stdlib.h header file. So this header file must be written on top of the main function, okay, after the iostream.h. So that is the standard library header file. Clear? So here must be written when using the exit function. So the format of using the exit function is exit and what is the status. Okay, so it's just a short example here. After the main function, you can see that the exit function is written here. So exit 0. Okay, so exit and then within the bracket 0. So this forces the program to end here. Okay, so what will happen is that as soon as the program starts, okay, as soon as the program starts, the compiler, when it encounters this function, okay, it will terminate the program without displaying this message, this cout message. That means this message will not be printed out due to the exit function. So if suppose this exit function is not written here and it is written here, okay, then this cout message will be displayed on the monitor screen. But since before the cout statement, the exit function is written, so the program will abruptly stop and then without displaying this message. Okay, so yeah, next is the break. So we have already seen in the switch statement. So break is also used to exit the program. Okay, exit the program, but not entire of the program, just a part of the program, right? So mostly it is used to jumped out of the switch case statement or from the loop. Okay, so the format is to use the break. So you can go back to the switch statement programs and then check out how you execute the break statement, right? So next is your continue statement. So the continue statement, instead of exiting a loop, okay, forces a new iteration of the loop. So the compiler will ignore any statements written below the continue statement inside the loop. So the format is just you write continue semicolon. Okay, so using a continue statement, we don't exit a loop actually, but we continue the loop. Means we continue the loop, but a new iteration of the loop. That means again the loop will start. So the use of this continue is, okay, if the continue statement is written in the loop, any statement written below that will not be executed as long as this continue keyword is written. Okay, so for that you can see an example here. So you have declared a counter variable, and then using the for loop you have assigned the value 1 to the counter variable, or initialize the counter variable to 1. Okay, and then the counter variable is tested, that is 1 is tested to less than equals to 5. Yes, true. And then in the fourth case, counter variable gets incremented by 1. So always in the for loop, you know that initialization task is done first number 1, test the condition 2, the body of the for loop, that is these three statements, compound statements, and then finally re-evaluation, that means increment decrement. After that, I can test the condition, body of the loop, re-evaluation, test the condition, body of the loop, as long as this test condition holds true. always remember you have to use semicolons to separate these three parts. So in the body of the loop, cout ctr, so it will display the value, suppose like 1, like that, right? And this null string is used to provide the gap between these two digits, 1 and 2. Clear? So now after this you have written the continue statement here. So what happens is that it will cause the next cout statement to be skipped. So any statement that is written, or any formula that is written after the continue statement, okay, will not be executed at all. It will not be displayed. So if suppose this continue statement is not there, okay, then after every digit, after every number, after cout 1, cout 2, cout 3, cout 4, like that, okay, this message will not be printed due to continue statement will be written here 1, and then this message will be come out here 2, this message will come out here 3, this message will be, okay, so there will be a long list of horizontal outputs. Clear? But because you are using this continue statement, the cout statement, the coutput stream will not display this message at all. That means this particular line statement will be totally skipped. Clear? So just type out this program, okay, and check out how it comes out. Now go to statement. So go to statement is also one type of jumping statement. It causes the program to jump to a different location. So whenever you want to move from one part of the program to another part of the program, okay, then this go to statement is used. So instead of executing the next statement in sequence, okay, so the format is go to statement label. So here we also use a label just like we did in that switch case. So in the switch case, that colon was used, right? So here again the factorial of a number. So here int I equals to 1, n, you are already familiar with that. Float fact equals to I, so you enter the number and store the value in n. Now you can see that after that the this fact in capital letter and colon, okay, is written here. So this actually acts as a pointer, okay, this actually acts as a pointer, or you may say like the address for the go to, okay, to search and find it and repeat it. So fact is a label, not a variable. It looks like a variable, but it is not a variable, okay, which tells the go to statement to execute the statement below the label. So whatever is written between this label, as you have seen, I have highlighted this in different colors, okay, so that you can see and understand. So what happens is that this label, okay, will be written below the statements which you want to repeat here. So in this case, or which you want to repeat, or you may not repeat it, okay, but in this case this particular statement is repeated because below that you have an if construct. So if I is less than n, now you know that if is just a simple selection structure, right? Because if the condition is true, only then it will be executed. If it is not true, it will not execute and it will go to the next statement, right? So if since it is a simple decision structure, right, you cannot repeat this, again and again. So if you cannot repeat it, then you will not get the correct factorial formula, right? It will be just 1 into 1. Fact is 1 and I equal to 1. So fact equals to 1 into 1, 1. I will get incremented, but it will be of no use because you cannot execute this formula again, right? So it will, in the if construct, you cannot go back and test the condition again. So in order to be able to do that, the go to fact, okay, so you can see that the it's same in capital letter, in capital letter. So go to means, okay, and then the name of the label is written here, so that the compiler will search for this exact label name FACT in capital letter and colon, and then it goes and it finds here. Clear? So after that, the label, whatever is written within the label, it will start executing again and again. So using this go to jumping statement, the if block can be executed a certain number of times. Otherwise, if you don't use this jumping statement, go to fact and this label, the if block will execute only once the formula, and then it will come to the next statement. So after that, if n is not equals to 0, so by the end of that time, if suppose you get n is 5, right? So 5 is not equals to 0, which is true, right? Then cout will display the value of the factorial, which is stored in the variable fact, and then it will successfully terminate the program. Okay, so for this particular chapter we have come to the end of this control statement. Okay, in the next class I'll be discussing more programs from the solve exercises. Okay, and then yeah, I'll give you the screenshot of the algorithms and flowcharts chapter and also these control statements. Okay, so students, there is one method that is skipped out from the program methodology, that is chapter 2. But since chapter 2 is not in the syllabus, okay, still then I would advise you to go through a particular topic, those who have the textbook. Okay, that is this dry run method. Okay, and for those of you who don't have the textbook, okay, you can Google search, or from YouTube you can check out this dry run method. Okay, this dry run method actually helps you to understand the program much faster. Okay, in the next class I'll show you some uh, dry run methods. Okay, dry run methods usually need not be the same for everyone. You can do it in your own way. Okay, so what it does, it shows you the process flow, the flow of how the program is actually working. Okay, how the data is entered and from which step to which location it goes. Clear? So the repetitions, especially in the repetition in the looping construct, okay, the dry run methods actually is much helpful. Yeah, so yeah, so that will be all for today. Okay, so go through this program, type out these programs and find out the outputs, and compare with yourself. Okay, with the different types of programs.